Hey ladies, okay, so let's go through the 5 types of hunger. The first one is physical hunger. That's when you're really hungry, like your stomach is growling, you might lack, a little mental focus, you might have some fatigue, you are ready to eat, and you know it. Um, so sometimes when we are really hungry, we say things like, I'm starving. But a way to change your mindset about this is to really say what you're feeling, like, I'm really hungry. Because when we say things like, I'm starving, we kind of give ourselves an excuse to like grab from our kid's plate or just be impulsive and grab some silly food. So really just to be aware of the way that you are talking to yourself and to say things like, I'm really hungry. Okay? So, one way to make sure that you don't get to this point is by tracking your food and to make sure that you are actually full after you have each meal. And if you don't feel like you're full after each meal, then you should go through the More Sure model. So if you watch you should watch the More Sure model video again, and also the plate video. Sometimes you also might just need a healthy fat after your meal to just kind of to satiate. Okay, the second type of hunger is called sense hunger, and this is just what it sounds like. It's your senses telling you that you're hungry. So you might see something like the candy dish in a bank and then think that you're hungry. Or you might smell a food cooking, or you might be walking past a store in the mall and you smell the cookie station and you think that you're hungry. You might hear like food sizzling in a pan and think that you're hungry. You might taste one bite of something and then think that you're hungry for more. And you might touch something and think that you're hungry. So for instance, if someone is asking you at a restaurant to pass the bread dish and you've passed the bread dish, and while you're passing it, you feel the bread. And now all of a sudden, like, you think that you're really hungry, but you really weren't. So ask yourself in these situations, do I need this eating opportunity, the dinteo? And if you if you need a little bit more, you can watch the eating out video, the social events and the social events and parties video, and the traveling video. For more information about what to do in those situations when you are sensing hunger. Okay, the third type of hunger is emotional hunger. And this can be any emotion ranging from happiness to sadness and everything in between: stress, anger, fear of missing out on something like emotional eating. You might also have the emotion of like self-sabotage. So maybe you're on your way, you're on this weight loss journey, you're doing great, and then all of a sudden you get scared that you're going to leave your comfort zone and step down to your next goal, and you might sabotage yourself. That's also one of the emotions. One of the videos you can watch is the emotional video. You can track your feelings. Oh, this is a good one. You can also track your feelings in the tracker. I don't know if you've noticed in mine sometimes. I'll write down how I'm feeling after I'm done eating. So you can also track that, and then you can look back and say like, oh, I had that handful of cookies, a handful of chips, or like a sleeve of cookies, and I wrote down next to it, I was feeling sad today. Or I was at a party and I grabbed, a handful of M&Ms, like it was a social event. So just keeping track of like your feelings, and if you felt like pressured to eat something, then just write it down and you can look back at it. What else? The fourth type of hunger is called mind hunger. This is when we're eating according to our beliefs, our thoughts. So maybe in the past, you've been told that carbs are bad for you. So now you believe that carbs are bad for you, when in fact, they really aren't. So maybe you've been staying away from carbs, and this is something that you're going to have to get your mindset wrapped around. This is a rule that, it's in your mind. It's a mind rule. So you'll just have to get your mind around flipping it. Also, another example of mind hunger is for someone who exercises and thinks after they're done exercising, like, oh, I can have a donut now. It really doesn't work like that. You don't really, exercise is kind of like, you know, it's a way to like tone your body and to relieve stress and, you know, get you looking good and stuff, but it's not an excuse to like go eat a donut, because the two things don't really cancel each other out. That's also something that is in our minds. Alright, so the mind hunger, you're gonna look at your plated as a guide, and then look at your tracker and really track the details. And then you can see if you have any rules that maybe you were unaware that you had these rules about eating certain things. So by tracking it, you can really get to know yourself. And let's see. Oh, this is a good one. So let's say that you are going to a party and you're like, oh, I'm gonna save all of my calories till the party later tonight. Let's change the mindset about that. So what you can do, let's say the party's from 6 to 8 p.m. At 5:30, you can have your meal, plate your meal, and then when you go to the dinner, I like this saying from her, you keep your 2 hands on the wheel, right? So you can keep your 2 hands on the wheel, you can have your sparkling water, or even like a glass of wine is fine. But, you know, the mindset about saving all of your calories for the party is one that needs to change, because that is another mind rule. Okay? And the last type of hunger is sleep-deprived hunger. That's when we don't get good quality sleep and we end up feeling hungrier. We might have short or interrupted sleep. I know for moms with little kids and like babies, of course, that you might experience this short interrupted sleep, and maybe the next day you are feeling really hungry and nothing you eat is satisfying you. There's actually a hormone, the hunger hormone, and it's called ghrelin. It sounds like growling, but it's grueling, I think. Ghrelin? Whatever. This is a hunger hormone, and after you have a night of sleep that's of poor quality, this hormone is increased in your body, so all day long you kind of feel, you may feel more hungry. Also, after poor sleep, our leptin hormone levels are down. That's the hormone that tells us we're full. So when they're down, they're not telling us that we're full. So that's also something that might happen. And then on the most basic level, when you're tired, you tend to want to eat carbs. And why do we want to eat carbs? Because carbs give us energy.